and we'll roll in a minute.
Sorry, nice to meet you guys. I'm good. This is new.
Hi, I'm Calvin.
Nice to meet you, Calvin. I'm Ro.
Nice
And
to meet you.
Angel, is it?
Angel.
Hello, nice to meet you. I'm Ro.
And Caitlin.
Caitlin, I can't see you.
Oh, well, I'm a woman then.
So Ro, one question. Do you want to be on screen with your video, or do you want it just to run on its own?
I'll just play it at the end, I think.
Okay, perfect. All right, we're going to kick into the...
That was just something new for me. I wish you hadn't sort of suggested it because I probably spent too much time.
No worries. Okay, kicking into the
story. Not to be confused with the highlights part of it, especially now that we're distinct flexible and strong. That being said, tell us your tale, but don't come up and show us your tale. It's really nice looking. Yeah. Tell us your tale. Come on up and tell us your tale.
Hey everyone, welcome to Tale, New York City's finest live streaming storytelling, and also people from other places that aren't New York City. So that kind of just leaves the whole world, doesn't it? I am your amiable host, Harmon Leon. The street cred goes, I'm a man whose fashion sense and style often and frequently been described as what internet world? Alcoholic scarecrow. Yay! See, even that joke works in cyberspace. So what is Tale? Tale is a show that we normally do at the wonderful Red Room. That's right. This is normally our IRL room in real life, but now we are here doing the live stream version of Tale. The premise of Tale, no hokey gimmicks, no dumb themes, just the best in New York streaming, storytelling, also with a lot of multimedia. So I guess that's our hokey gimmick and dumb theme. So we have 4 or 5, I don't know, I can't count, a bunch of storytellers on the bill tonight. And also the thread of Tale is that we always kick off the show with a musical guest. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Caitlin Cook, everyone.
Thank you. I'm Caitlin. I live in New York City, and I've been missing the vibe of New York City. It's kind of a ghost town right now, so I wrote a song about it. For a city that never sleeps, you're pretty quiet now. You know this city will break you down and fill you back up in its image, or at least that's what a homeless man in a tutu told me once on St. Mark's Avenue. He then started skipping away while operatically singing just the word fart. He was like, fart, fart, fart. He was actually pretty good. Never thought I'd say it, but I missed the dance crews and mariachi bands on the subway. Never thought I'd say it, but I missed the conductor announcements and no one ever understands on the subway. Yeah, I miss those subway moments, like I once saw 2 big poets enter into the same subway car but from like opposite sides, and they locked eyes, and it was very clear that they were rivals and they shouldn't be on the same subway car. They had a rap battle on the subway. Unplanned big poet rap battle on the subway. And I still think about that rat that ran directly into my foot and then looked at me like, fuck you, I'm walking here. Where did that rat have to go? Well, I guess we'll never know, but I hope it was Paris and he's being a very successful chef at this point. One be here then anyway. Except times when.
All right, let's hear for Caitlin here. Let's hear for Caitlin here.
Come on up and tell us your tale.
Wow, that was great. Now I just simply feel like crying. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Who would have thought that the potential final months of the Trump administration would end with biblical era plague? Yes, yes, yes. Wonderful song. Like I said, Tale, no hokey gimmicks, no dumb themes except multimedia. And we don't even babble a lot between the acts. So without further ado, people in the internet world, are you ready for your first Taylor of the evening? Yes, please give this man some warm tail love for the one, the only, Calvin Cato.
Come on up and tell us your tale.
I like that. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you people on the internet for listening to this. I know that there's also, so much going on, what with, Netflix and Hulu, but thank you for listening. So this is a story actually that is going to be a slightly pre-Trump era story, not by that long, but this is a story of one of the worst gigs I've ever done, which is sad that this is going to be one of, as you'll hear right now. So my friend, let's call him Adam. My friend Adam told me that he had a really nice gig that he did before, and he wanted me to do this comedy show with him, and we could bring another friend. So me and Adam decided we were going to bring our friend Bobby with us. And so we're going to go to this show. The show's in Pennsylvania. It's in Easton, Pennsylvania, which in theory I thought was above the Mason-Dixon line. Turns out I was wrong about that. But we decided we're going to go there. We're going to do this show. We're going to get paid $100 each. And, it's going to be a genuinely pleasant, good time. And my friend says, oh, well, we can go to this show. We'll do the show, and then there's a bar right by the place that's going to be really great. It serves really cheap drinks. And so I'm excited. I said, yeah, I'll do the show. So I'm driving. I have a car, and not like this is a humble brag. Just so you know, I pay $1,600 in insurance fees. Anyway, I have this car. We drive to Easton, Pennsylvania. And we get to the venue, and I thought the venue was going to be like a real venue, but it turns out the venue is just a bar. Like flat out a bar. There's no real stage, and our performance area is right by the bathrooms, which this is a problem, but as a New York City performer, I'm used to this. Like, I performed in laundromats, I performed in a barbershop once. Like, I get it. We don't deserve nice things. So we go to the bar, and I just start to notice the clientele is very white. In fact, by very, I mean it's all white. It is all white. Like very white. Like it was like someone came in my eye. Like it was very white. I was uncomfortable. I was wearing glasses. What's happening? So we get to the venue, and I noticed at the venue there's a sign on the door, and like some places have a sign that says like no shirt, no shoes, no service. So it was like that, but it was literally like no long t-shirts, no baggy jeans, no do-rags, no fitted baseball caps. Like it was all very coded language to like say no coloreds, but they were like, oh, this ain't the 50s, we can't say no coloreds. So I'm starting to get a little bit concerned because this is not the venue that was pitched to me when I initially decided that we should do this show. So I'm still trying to settle in. I'm like, let me get a free drink. Maybe this is all in my head. We'll see what's going on. And we meet the booker, who's very nice, very tattooed, heavily tattooed, like he looks like, like a roadie for like a metal band, but, very nice and polite. I meet the booker. He says, don't worry. I know this is a little weird. They don't have a stage right now, but it's going to be fine. And everyone's going to be respectful. Even though we're in a bar, everyone's going to pay attention. Everyone's going to tune in. And I said, okay, cool. I'm into this. And so I meet the host, and the host is a guy who's wearing a bomber jacket and a white guy with, some facial hair, but he has a like manifesto of notes that he's calling it a comedy joke book. Like it's literally like, it looks like a Unabomber manifesto that's like stapled together haphazardly. And he goes, okay, so how do I host a show? And I was like, well, you say some stuff off the top, then you bring up the people by whatever order they want to be. And he goes, well, do you want to host? And I said, no, I'm not going to host because I'm supposed to just do a set. I'm not hosting the show. It's decided what the order is. I'm supposed to go last. The host of the show somehow gets some of the people together, but it's a bar. So some people are listening and other people are actively not listening. They're playing pool in a corner. They're playing darts. They're trying to watch the game, which thankfully they put on mute. And the host of the show starts off the show by saying, I hope you're not a PC audience, which is aggressive, but okay. And then he tells a joke that ends with the N-word, like a hard ER N-word. And I'm like, oh no, like what's happening? And so I'm starting to get a little bit more nervous because like the very white crowd laughs at this joke and I feel even more uncomfortable. Like, I'm like, should I give a TED talk? Like, I don't really understand why I'm here right now. What's happening? The host finishes the joke and then brings up the first comedian, who's this guy. And his only joke is to run screaming through the bar and yell, all dicks are ugly. That was his entire act, was just yelling all dicks are ugly throughout the entire bar, which pisses everyone off because there are a lot of guys there and they don't want to be told their dicks are ugly. They're hoping to get laid in the glory hole later on. So as this is happening, I'm like, this seems like a hell gig. What's going on? And I turn to the booker and I ask the booker, hey, like, this feels really weird. Should I be okay? And he goes, listen, like, I know that this is just a really weird off night, but to be honest, there are a lot of white power affiliates in the room. Which, let's break down the phrase white power affiliate. First of all, don't add words after white power like that makes it better. That's not how that works. I wasn't going to go, white power, affiliate, oh, they're cool. Like, that's not how that works. What the fuck is going on? I'm performing for the Diet KKK. This is what's happening. This is my life. And part of me should have just turned around and been like, we should leave. But another part of me is broke, and I was foolish enough to pay for basic cable. And I was like, listen, Scandal's on its final season. I need to finish out Scandal. Like, we need this to fucking work out. So I'm going to still stay, but hopefully turn this around. So I stay all this early guy gets off stage. Then my friend Adam, who is half black, gets on stage and starts trying to talk, and people are not feeling it. And at this point, I know why they're not feeling it, white power affiliates. So he does a set, he gets off stage. Then next, my friend Bobby gets on stage. Bobby gets on stage. And by this point, the bar has had it with us, so they just turn on the music. So we are now trying to perform over music as well as pool playing and dart playing and sports. Bobby's trying to tell jokes. It does not go well. At one point, someone walks past the stage to go to the bathroom, then comes back from the bathroom, grabs the mic from Bobby and starts telling terrible street jokes. Like jokes that are, I still remember this. What do you call a woman with no arms and no legs? Carrie. That's the joke. And people laughed at that and at nothing Bobby said. So it's finally my turn. I go on stage. I'm supposed to do 15 minutes and it is a long time to bomb. And so I go up, I do my 15 minutes. I managed to get some people on my side, but not the hardcore white power affiliates. Like the full skinheads, they're not feeling it. But the like half skinheads who are like just mohawk heads, they're kind of feeling it. I feel like that's a victory. I'm going to take it as it is. I get off stage and I'm like, okay, so when do we get paid? And the booker's like, okay, you're going to get paid as soon as everything gets settled out. Now, I go outside. I was like, I'm going to go outside and have a cigarette because I don't want to be around all of this Caucasian persuasion business. I go outside, I have a cigarette, and as it turns out that even though there are white power affiliates there were also people who were very anti-racism. And so I go outside to have a cigarette, and in the time it takes for me to go outside to have a cigarette and try to come back in, a bar fight has broken out between the head of the white power affiliates and one of the bartenders that then somehow includes the entire bar. And so someone smashes a pool cue over this white power affiliates guy's face. And the guy comes out of the bar, like his face is cut up from here to here, completely sliced. I know, still should have left, but I was also like, I had tolls to pay. I really need this money. I waited until the cop showed up, took statements from people, and then they had to clean up the blood from the bar, and then we finally got paid our money. And after we got paid, Adam goes, hey, do you still want to check out that cheap bar next door? And I said, absolutely not. Get in the fucking car. Let's go back to New York City. And that's my story, guys. Don't leave New York.
All right, let's hear it.
Come on, let's tell your tale.
All right, yeah, let's hear it for Calvin, everyone. Yeah. Remember shitty gigs in real life? Remember those? Maybe reminiscent for a really bad bar gig. Yeah. So without further ado, I am going to turn over the screen sharing mode to our next act. We used to do shows together at the old Videology. Back in the day, she had a bit called the Lobster Bit that is one of my favorites. Ladies and gentlemen, please give some warm tail love for Angel.
Tell us your tale. Come on and tell us your tale.
I'm gonna share my screen because I have a PowerPoint. Don't be afraid. Alright. So I just wanted to present of just talk about what I'm doing currently. Which is pretty fun. So I buy a lot of food, I stock up, but every night I'm still like, I don't know what to eat. I usually put in a pizza, just pizza. I still work, thankfully. I love making spreadsheets. But I realized that spreadsheets are kind of like your poop. Like, you're the only one who loves it, and loves the smell of it. Everyone else hates it. So that's what I discovered. Love the face app. So this is what I look like if I'm old. This is what I look like if I'm a boy. And this is what I look like if I'm an old boy. Which is my dad, pretty much. This is like a shameful thing. I had this in China once. It's pretty much just fried fish skin. And it's so good, Calvin. It's so good.
I like it.
Okay, thank you.
Kind of looks good.
So I think they were gonna have this in stores, but not anytime soon. And I just had like a weird craving for it. And they kind of sold it on Amazon, but it was like $35. And I was like, I'm not spending money now. So I spent $35 on fish skin, and it's already done. I already finished it. All right. Okay, this is another shameful thing. Do you guys know episodes? It's like an app game, episodes. Well, I started playing it. It's pretty much like, I want to say it's like teenage porn, like teenage softcore porn, as you can see with the titles. It's like there's just like every storyline. The one that I got into, I'll tell you later, but you kind of make your own characters. That's me. My last name is Beyonce. The storyline, he's a vampire, so I'm trying to like get with the vampire. This storyline is I'm a high school student, but he's in college. He doesn't know I'm in high school, so I'm pretending to be a college student while I'm still going to high school. And then this storyline is, so that's my gay dad. That's his partner, and they look like my age, but the storyline is that's my. And he brings a friend over, and I fall in love with this friend. Anyway, I'm spending too much time on this. So really, a lot of Zoom meetings by myself. I'm just like, this is me. Like, I invite everyone, and then I'm just waiting. I'm the first one to arrive at my party. So that brings me into like what's wrong with me, because like I'm doing this while in quarantine, but I actually do a lot of things that is kind of weird while I'm not in quarantine. So I just wanted to like say a few things, and if you, the five of you, I guess, who can respond, can connect, just like clap or say ooh. So I bite my nails a lot. It's like been really bad since
to quarantine. Like, I don't have emails, but that's what I do. I hoard a lot of clothes. No, okay, so I feel like my mentality is if I work out, I could still fit in the clothes I wore in elementary school. I never fit out. I love hot buffets, which I know is not gonna happen anymore. Which is probably good because this is my meal. I usually have mashed potatoes with a corner of lasagna, some guacamole, some wings, and then 3 broccoli for health. Because can't make a decision. Eat it all. I G-chat a lot, and sometimes before I go to sleep, I will G-chat search the phrase "I love you." And then I'll see and then I'll reinsure my love, and then that's how I go to sleep. I said my best friend was myself in junior high school. Sometimes if I see acquaintances on the street, it's not gonna happen anymore. Instead of saying like, "Hey, hi," I take a picture of them and then I send it to them afterwards.
Oh,
and then
boy.
I say like, "I saw you."
I was watching you.
Hate conversation, which is good because it's not gonna happen anymore. So I'm always asking so back to the episodes. So I really got into the storyline with the gay dad and falling in love with his friend. So that's his friend, so cute. His friend is like 20 and I'm 18. My dad's 45, just so you know. And so many embarrassing things, like he grabbed my bra and he thought it was a dress, and then like I gave him a back massage. And I fell when he was getting out of the bathroom. So yeah. So the last book I read, I think the last full book I read is The Goosebumps. So, oh, thank you. Sometimes when I move things around, I'm scared I'm gonna kill someone because, like the butterfly effect, like I move this and then something's gonna happen and then someone's gonna die. So I'm always asking myself, when will I be happy? Is it because I was born this way, or is it because my parents, that's how they brought me up? Or is it the Asian American culture? In our culture, we don't really believe in mental health, and happiness is something we control. And these are just some facts. Since I have a PowerPoint, I wanted to throw some facts on mental health. But the fact is that Asian Americans are 3 times less likely to seek mental health services. So I wanted to bring that up because it is May. It is Asian American Heritage Month, and it's also Mental Health Awareness Month. So that's why those facts are there. But I know what you want. You wanted to know how I ended with my dad's boyfriend. We fell asleep together, and that was really cute. And then he was like, and I was like, oh my god. Okay, so this is, I kind of like, I almost drowned. And then he gave me CPR, of course. And then he was gonna kiss me because I had to pretend to be his girlfriend because he wanted to break up with his current girlfriend. And then this is a Dolphin Cove, and I did spend I spent $20 on this app because because you have to like get diamonds in order to special experiences, and one of them was a Dolphin Cove, and I really wanted to see what's going to happen, so then I had to buy diamonds. So then he was like, "Are you not sure?" And then I was like, "Oh yeah." And then my dad got angry, and then I got trapped somewhere. It was like there was a fire. And then I actually didn't get trapped. I was in the fire, and then he finally kissed me, a cheeky kiss. I was like, oh my god, worth the $20. So that's how I spent, how I'm spending my quarantine. Don't judge. Mental health awareness. Happy Asian American Heritage Month. Thank you.
Yay! Let's hear it for Angel here on
Tell us your tale. Come on and tell us your tale.
Let's hear it for Angel once again. Let's hear it for Angel, everyone. Yay! that is how she is spending her pandemic time. Yay, very nice, very nice. I like that a lot. What if I told you that not only do we have one Aussie zooming in from Australia, but two? Oh wait, I should have said that afterwards. Okay, so our next Taylor is everyone who's listening on the internet, just close your ears for a second, and this is just for the people here in our Zoom room. John he sent the clip pre-recorded, so to hear it, you put on your headphones because it'll be in Twitch. Okay, you can unplug your ears now, people listening out there. So please welcome a friend of mine. We have gigged together in all points around the world. Coming from us from Adelaide, Australia. Let's hear it for John Bennett.
Come on, let's tell us your tale. Hi everyone, I'm John Bennett. Obviously this is weird, I'm not used to doing these sorts of things. This is my first one, I'm recording some of these, so I've brought a candle for ambiance. And I always find these weird because whenever you watch a performer, everyone's wondering, well, late night shows, what are they wearing on the bottom? Do they have pants on? And what have I got on? What's hanging down here? Am I naked? Do I have pizza for legs? Who knows what's going to happen? But you never, ever know. So, I'm going to tell you a story from my life. This is a story from when I was about 7 years old. And when I was 7 years old, my main bully growing up, I don't know if any of you have had a bully before, but as like a cathartic thing, let's just count to 3, and in our hearts, let's all just release the names of our bullies. Okay, 1, 2, 3, Tim Bennett. My bully was my oldest brother, Tim. He was 3 years older than me, and he was the kind of bully who would do things like sneak up behind you while you were playing Super Nintendo and put his dick in your ear. That's the kind of kid that Tim was. And when I was 7 years old, my parents moved my brother and I to a new school. And it was just a school a bit further down the road in houses. We just went to a new school, and immediately Tim, being the bully that he is, became the school bully, just picking on everyone, putting his dick in people's ears, and just being a horrible kid. And because we were at this new school, Tim immediately became the school bully. All the kids at this new school, they hated him. But they couldn't do anything. He's obviously a bit of a psycho, because sticking in people's ears, he's obviously got no fear or morals or anything like that. So they were too scared to fight him. So they did the next best thing and found me, the younger brother. Let's beat up the younger brother of the school bully. So I'm 7 years old, I'm at this new school, my brother was the school bully, and I did the only thing that I could think of when all these kids went on and fight you because your brother's putting his dick in people's ears. You know that regular situation that people have when your brother is putting his dick in people's ears, and everyone is upset about this, but they take it out on you. You know that feeling that you have, and so they all wanted to fight. So I did the only thing that I knew to do at that time as a 7-year-old kid, and I told everyone at the new school that I knew karate. Now, I don't know karate. The only thing, I don't know if you can tell, I'm wearing a karate suit from the bottom down, but I don't know karate. The only thing I knew about karate at the time as a 7-year-old kid is I had seen the movie Karate Kid about 1,000 times. It's my favorite movie to watch. And if everyone remembers the Karate Kid, the Jaden Smith one or the Ralph Macchio one, you know what happens as a kid. He goes to a new school just like I did, he gets picked on, and then he beats up the bully, and he wins over everyone and wins the girl and everything by beating the bully. And so every day, I didn't know karate, but all these kids at this new school, when I told them that I knew karate, they fucking believed me. And I thought, what do I do? What do I do? Now all these kids think I know karate, how do I convince them? And I was so convincing that they all, not only did they all believe me, I started teaching karate lessons at lunchtime. And like I said, I don't know karate. The only things I was teaching in these karate lessons was praying and the elbow punch. They were the only two things that I could teach, because that's all I knew from Karate Kid. That's all I knew from Karate Kid. And I don't know if you've seen Karate Kid, they're the only two fucking moves in that movie. Unless you catch flies with the chopsticks, they're the only moves in that movie. So I started teaching these lessons at lunchtime. It was very stressful for me, teaching these karate lessons. All these kids who any moment are going to find out that I don't know karate, and I'm done for Tim is still putting his dick in people's ears, but I'm winning them over by the crane and the elbow punch and teaching these lessons. And the only thing I can think of to do is every day after school, sure, but I'm going to be found out at any time as this fraud karate teacher. I run home after school, I put Karate Kid, my favorite movie, on the VHS, and I watch Karate Kid, try and learn any kind of moves like the crane and the elbow punch to teach the next day. There's fucking nothing in that movie. Let's just sweep the leg. That's the only thing that is in these movies, but at least I can get that inspiration. And where Danielson, he beats his bully and he wins the karate competition. At least that will give me the strength to keep this line going for the rest of the days at this new school. And very stressful for me every day teaching these lessons. Tim's the school bully, and then one day I'm teaching the lessons at lunchtime, and kids start, by the time people are paying, I'm getting paid 50 cents a lesson. My pupils are growing. I've got about 20 kids in front of me in the school every single day. And I'm teaching this one day, and then the teacher walks past and says, "You're very good at karate, teacher." And I say, "Yeah, I know." And she says, "Would you like to do a karate demonstration at the All Schools Assembly?" I say, "Yes." I don't know what to say. This is the only thing I know to say yes. I say yes. And this panics me. I'm sure I'm going to get found at all schools in front of all the kids at school. Tim is the school bully. With this new school, I don't know what's going to happen, but all I can do is I run home after school. I put on the Karate Kid, the VHS, I learn something else, like nothing else in that movie. Every day when I start watching Karate Kid, I'll be sitting in the lounge room. My brother Tim will walk into the lounge room. He'll walk, he'll grab the remote, he'll press stop just before we get to that inspirational ending of Karate Kid when Danielson does the crane and beats the bully. He'll grab the remote control, press stop, and I'll say, "Hey, I was watching that." He'll slap me in the face and say, "Fuck off, asshole." Every single day he does this. And it comes to the day before the All Schools Assembly. I'm very stressed. I'm a very stressed 7-year-old. This day I run home earlier so I can maybe get that inspirational ending of Karate Kid. And again, this day, Tim, he walks into the lounge room, goes to grab the remote. But this day, I'm prepared. I lean down the side of the couch and I pick up a door snake. Now, I don't know if you know what a door snake is. It is this long thing. You put it under the gap in the door. It's a drop coming in winter. It's a bit like a toy. And I also a poor family. So I didn't have any teddy bears or anything like that. So you should sleep with a door snake. And I know that's quite sad, but that's happens when you're from a poor family. But when you stick people's ears. And I didn't know what to do with it. So the door snake was sitting down the side of the couch. My brother Tim came to grab the remote. And I stood up. I closed my eyes and I swung the door snake as hard as I could. Sure enough, when I opened my eyes, Tim was gone. He was knocked out cold in front of me. Blood was streaming from his nose, and he was doing that twitchy thing. And I thought I killed him. I was a 7-year-old kid. I thought I killed him. I started screaming, "I've killed Tim! I've killed Tim! I've killed Tim!" And my mum heard the commotion. She walked into the living room. Tim on the ground, bleeding and twitching. And my mum said, "What's happened?" I said, "I don't know, Mum. I hate the door. It's sticking in everyone's ears, Mum. I have to learn karate. I don't know karate, Mum. I'm going to kill everyone. I hate him. I hate him. I hate him. I hate him." And by this time, I'm crouched down next to him, just in the fetal position, just crouching. I hate him. I hate him. I hate him. My mum settles me down. She picks him up off the floor, puts him in the car, takes him to hospital. Tim comes home a couple of hours later with these big bandages wrapped around his head, just two little eyes peeking out from these slits in the bandages, and he goes straight to bed. And the next day, like I said, I'm from a poor family. Both my parents work, so Tim has to go to school. And we're standing at the school bus stop waiting for the bus to come and pick us up, and the school bus picks us up, but Tim and I, we get onto the bus, and this is a kid who was everyone's bully around, he's sticking in everyone's ears, this sort of bully type, he's got these bandages wrapped around his head, just blood spilling through from where his nostrils are, and all the kids at school, there's a hush goes over the school bus. And all the kids slowly, they go, "What happened? What happened? What happened to the bully? What happened to the bully?" And finally, one of the kids turns to Tim and just taps him on the shoulder and says, "What happened?" Tim says,
John did this to me. Legend of me knowing karate grows. I do the karate demonstration for the old school assembly. Everyone follows my every move, the crane, and the overpunch. The kids all believe me. They all believe exactly what's happened because I've beaten the bully, just like in Karate Kid. You know, I hit him with the door snag on the day my mum came in and she said, "What happened? What happened?" And I said, "I don't know, Mum, he's my bully. I don't know, Mum. I didn't know I was going to kill him. I didn't know I was going to kill him." I cut open a door snake 2 days earlier to make sure it was full of rocks or sand or something that was going to fuck him up. So that's my story about beating my bully with my brother. So I know you're all wondering what I'm wearing underneath, and it was pizza pants. I'm wearing pizza from my pants. Look, I got pizza pants on. I got pizza pants on. Okay, that's my final video that I'm never doing again. Thank you very much for having me.
All right.
Tell us your tale. Come on up and tell us your tale.
All right, let's hear it. Let's hear it for John Bennett. He was in Zooming all the way from Adelaide, Australia, and by no means pre-recorded a video for us to play. And like we said, Tale is the best storytellers in New York and beyond, and also a wonderful musician. So please welcome back to the Tale virtual room, Caitlin Cook, everyone.
Hello, I have another song for you guys. This one has a little bit of a story to it, but I don't have a super long time, so I'll just let you know that this song came from eating an entire chocolate bar in Colorado, which was 180 milligrams of THC, which is too much THC. It's are just us regressing back to hieroglyphics. Alcohol is a solution if we're speaking scientifically. And being attracted to your own plastic penis would be the worst fetish ever. And whenever a pregnant woman swims, she's a human submarine. Submarine. Know what I mean? If you call someone a $2 whore, it's meaner than before because of inflation. And if money's a sin, then why is the Bible Belt the fattest part of the American nation? And if you've never seen a chicken, but you order chicken fingers, you'd think that chickens were big and scary. And if Mary had Jesus and Jesus is the Lamb of God, and Mary had a little lamb, a little lamb, a little lamb. You understand? Hands are naked, soft puppets. Coffee is bean soup. Bunk beds are people shelves. And someone should open an abortion clinic and call it "Don't Hate Yourselves." And someone should start a liquor company and call it Responsibly. You know, because drink responsibly. And a group of squid should be called a squad. And bisexual women should be called more or lesbians. Lesbians. More or lesbians. Does that make sense? It's pretty weird that we can unintentionally make a person but not dessert. And it's pretty weird that people will eat each other's assholes but not eat food that fell in the dirt. And it's pretty weird that people have birthday sex, which is basically having sex to celebrate your parents having sex. People are just like plain weird. I mean, we invented selfie sticks and snuggies and fidget spinners. Anyway.
All right, let's hear it for Kaylin, everyone. Kaylin, yeah, that was great. And this whole time I've been neglecting this tech cue. There we go. Yeah. Here once again at
Tell us your tale. Come on up and tell us your tale.
All right, so like I said, let's hear it for Caitlin once again. That was great. That was great. And I guess I should have said this, the intro before. I should have said now. What if I told you, maybe this is just a hypothetical situation. What if I told you that we didn't have just one Aussie on the bill, but we had two Aussies on the bill? I think you would be saying, you're blowing our mind, future man. Well, I am not blowing your mind, future man. This is a friend of mine. And again, hands down, we are in a shit show era. That's a given. That's in the equation. But the best part about doing these live stream shows is you get to do shows with your friends from all over the world that you normally don't get to do shows with unless you're in Edinburgh Festival, and this man is doing the show right after yours for, 5 years straight. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage. It's our friend, Ro Campbell.
Come on up and tell us your tale.
Start the show, isn't it? Can you all hear me? Nice to be. Thanks for having me. I've actually done Harmon's show for real in New York when I was in New York a couple of years ago. So thanks for having me. I'm more nervous doing this than if I was doing a live gig. So I'm here to do a story. The story I'm going to do, apologies, it is a drug story. But if it's good enough for Netflix, whoa, I'm on the zeitgeist there. A good old-fashioned acid story. It was just... So I travel a lot. I'm doing comedy. I'm probably one of the most traveled international comedians. I've done comedy in almost 50 countries. And in 2018, I got invited to go to do a run of shows in South Korea. I hadn't been there before, so I was pretty excited about that. And I happened to be there. I was there for 2 weeks. I did about 7 shows over 2 weeks. So it was pretty well structured to be able to have a little bit of a look around in between the shows. So one of the weeks I was there, the Friday was when the two leaders of Korea, good Korea and bad Korea, met for the first time on North Korean soil. I think that's how it went. And anyway, so I was doing a show on the Friday night in a small, in a Korean city in the south of Korea called Changwon. And you have to burn a lot of bridges in the world of stand-up comedy to play Changwon on a Friday night. But anyway, that's where I was the night of the big summit. And so that was like the biggest news story in the world, because Trump was obviously somewhat involved in I don't know what he was doing, but I'm sure he was tweeting about it. And the show was fine. It was to a bunch of, mostly American English teachers. That's what so many foreigners do in Korea. Well, they're either in the military, the US military, or they're teaching English. So, I got drunk after the show, the rest of it. At some point, I ended up at like 1 o'clock in the morning in some noodle shack, and I was just eating noodles on my own. I'd sort of separated from the rest of the group. They were out partying, and I did meet up with them later. But I was eating some noodles on my own, and a kid came over to me, and he said, "Hey, man, you're the comedian from tonight?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "That was a great show." And I was like, "Thanks, dude." And we got chatting, and then I said to him, "Hey, I don't suppose you know where I could get a little bit of weed, do you?" And because that's just a thing. I love to try and score anywhere in the world, and I don't let the laws of the nation deter me at all. And I just couldn't get anything in Korea. It was driving me nuts. Anyway, this guy, he was American Korean, and he goes, nah, man, he's like, it's really hard to get weed here, you know. He said, but I've actually got some acid. And I was like, okay, that's a fucking curveball. You know, it's not normally your fucking second choice. By the way, I'm like 44 now. I stopped. At that point, I hadn't taken acid since 2001. This is a true story. I actually was tripping on 9/11 in Australia. And 9/11 in Australia happened at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday night. And I was tripping when someone called me or whatever and said, I can turn the TV on. And anyway, so that was the last time that was a really crazy come down just because of I couldn't shake the narcissistic notion that I'd kind of caused it with my mind. And I literally never took psychedelics from 9/11 until May 2018, or maybe it was April 2018. So anyway, I'm in Korea and this guy offers me an acid trip. I felt it would be rude not to I didn't take it on the spot. I wrapped it up and I put it in my pocket. And so basically the next day I woke up with this crazy hangover, and the whole Korean summit's on the news about the two leaders meeting it's called the DMZ, the Demilitarized Zone. It's in between the two Koreas, so it's like a no man's land kind of thing. And that's all over the news. And I just had this idea, wow, I wonder if I can go to the DMZ and acid. And that was the idea I came up with. And it turned out it was really hard to get on tours of the DMZ during that week because they'd shut it down. But about 5 days later, I managed to get a cancellation spot on a tour of the DMZ. And so basically I found myself, I remember I had the trip in my hand at 7 o'clock in the morning. I was about to leave for this tour. And at the last moment, I decided it might be prudent to just cut it in half because I'm not completely fucking mental. And that turned out to be quite a good idea. So I took half this thing. I was kind of, because I was almost like, do I really want to do this? Korea's it's illegal to actually be on drugs in Korea. So if you attracted any attention to yourself, they could blood test you and you could be in prison for 2 years just for being under the influence, right? So that's kind of daunting, but it wasn't daunting enough to stop me. I was like, what's the worst situation I could get in here? You know, trying to dance Gangnam Style across the border with my underpants on my head and get shot by a sniper. Not the most dishonorable way for a comedian to go, let's face it. So I popped the trip in my mouth. I went to the tour. We got on the bus. I'd done very little research about the DMZ or Korean history. And as the bus is taken off, as we're driving out of Seoul, I couldn't believe it. It was only 27 miles from the capital city, Seoul, to the demilitarized zone, which is like not very far at all, you know. And I was expecting it to be quite a long drive. I mean, there's like Palestinian children can fucking throw a rock 27 miles, I would imagine. So as we sort of driving for like an hour, and you know, if you've never taken psychedelics, the sort of the early signs are that everything starts to shimmer and get brighter. And it was a beautiful spring day in Korea, and the hills were all shimmering green, and they got all those cherry blossom trees. It was very very conducive to a good feeling. But as we entered the proper DMZ, that's when the tour guide started getting into the heavy history, and he's reeling off crazy figures of death and destruction I had no idea about. Like, a lot more people died in the Korean conflict than died in Vietnam. And but the crazy thing is, if you've never done psychedelics, I'm going to say that a few times, one of the earlier things is you kind of start laughing for no real reason. You find you just find things funny. And so the tour guide is sort of droning on in this robotic sort of voice about 5 million people dying, 600,000 people starving to death, and I'm in no way laughing at what he's saying, but I'm having trouble not stifling my giggling, and people looking around on the bus. Anyway, so I'm like, oh fuck this, I've got to keep a lid on this, this is not cool. Then we go through this military checkpoint, like a really like a very fortified checkpoint, and soldiers got on the bus and they took everyone's passport. And at this point, I'm in that mode where I'm trying. It's very difficult for me not to laugh. And this soldier comes right up to me and takes my passport, and I'm like, this part of me's like, do not scream, I'm on acid. Part of me just wanted to do that. Anyway, I got the passport back, no problem. We take off into the DMZ proper. We just pass some like razor wire fencing, checkpoints, convoys of military trucks. There's just like a general edginess, to the region, obviously. And probably amplified by the fact that the two leaders had met just a couple of days before. So it's like, it's pretty full on. Anyway, the first stop, we go to this viewing point where you look from a hill over into North Korea, and you can look in through these binoculars. And I've got a little video to show at the end, just a couple of minutes, just so you can kind of get a vibe what it was like. And I'm probably like 2 hours into this trip at this point, and I'm feeling giggly and funny, and I wasn't in any way out of control. I'm pretty experienced psychonaut, and I was holding it together. But I was cracking a few jokes with the binoculars for the benefit of the tour group, quite juvenile jokes, I might add. I asked the tour guide if that was Mexico on the other side of the river. I thought that was pretty funny at the time. And then we got back on the bus, and then we get back on the bus, and he explains that the next stop is going to be the third tunnel of aggression, which is, so the North Koreans have systematically continued to try and attack South Korea. Like they think they're the more dominant Korea, right? Because they don't, they don't have access to a lot of information, but they are pumped full of propaganda that tells them they're the stronger of the two Koreas. And for years, they've been digging these tunnels to try and pop into Korea and attack. And this particular tunnel was called the third tunnel because it was the third attack tunnel that they found. And they were trying to dig it all the way to Seoul, 27 miles down to the capital. And then they're going to pop out of the capital and go, surprise, you're communists now. And there's like 20 tunnels, or more than 20 tunnels that they found. But anyway, this one was the third one. And the tour guide starts explaining that we're going to go into the third tunnel of aggression. And I hadn't read the description of the tour. I had no idea that going down into a tunnel was part of the deal. So I felt a little bit uneasy about that because I'm not huge on confined spaces, even when I'm not on fucking hallucinogens. And then he explained that before we went into the tunnel, we would be watching an educational film about the conflict, the Korean conflict, which doesn't sound fun when you're sober. But watching an educational film about North Korea when you're on acid, it sounds like punishment. And that was when, so we pull up at this, there's quite a touristy element to the DMZ, right? So this was the quietest probably that it's been in a long time because of the summit. But even then, there was like quite a few tour buses with people from all over the world, probably mainly Chinese. But so you pull up in this sort of big car park thing, and there's on one side you got this building that goes into the third tunnel of aggression, and on the other side there's like this educational facility, and that's where we went into first. And on my little video you'll see the film, but when we went in there, that's when like the acid really kicked in hard, because there was like 5 screens and full on like Cinemax level sound just blasting you with horrific images from the Korean War, and like children on fire and just all that horrible stuff. And again, I was kind of laughing, but not laughing at anything that was on the screen, just laughing at what a fucking idiot I am to even go into this situation in that kind of frame of mind. And then like after about 4 or 5 minutes of just showing you these horrendous images and blasting you with all this, I guess, kind of South Korean propaganda, it just like switched. The music changed to like classical music, and it started showing you all these images of like deers and butterflies and birds, and it turned into like this weird nature documentary telling you how because it's been a no man's land for 60 years, that wildlife has flourished. So that was, even the people that weren't on drugs were laughing at that point. Everyone was looking around going, where does this fucking fit in? So I came out of that cinema like I'd sort of entered the next level. I was kind of trembling and my head was vibrating and I just felt weird. I felt weird and I felt like I think I'm not sure if I think I'm a bit beyond the comfort zone right now. And that was when we got shepherded over to the tunnel, and they ran us through a metal detector and they took all our phones and everything off us. You couldn't take anything. You couldn't even take a fucking bottle of water. And so the tunnel starts off like a really big tunnel and a ramp, a long ramp. So the tunnel is just, for those of you who like stats, it's almost 300 feet down and it's 1 mile long, 1,600 meters long for any Europeans. And so it's a fuck off big tunnel. And you enter it, it's like a subway tunnel at the start of it, at the top of this ramp, and the ramp goes down, down, down really far. And that first bit was fine, but as we got, and you had to wear a hard hat and visibility vest. And as I got to the bottom of the ramp, you sort of feel the air go, and that's when you hit the flat, all of a sudden the tunnel just came right down to like, it was lower than my height. So anyone over like 5'8" couldn't stand. It was like this. And I'm like, okay, I was buzzing at this point, but I just went, like, basically you're kind of in a queue at that point. As soon as you got down there, there's probably 100 people in front of you in single file making their way slowly to the end of the tunnel, because the tunnel ends. That's the point. The idea is to get to the end of the tunnel where there's this like military checkpoint thing, and then there's a separation on the other side of it. There's the North Korean army. So like, yeah, so I've got like people behind me as well. Once I'm like, then we walk in that small tunnel, we're like crouched down. I remember like when we were about halfway along, it got all moist and it started dripping on me and stuff. And that's when the fear really kicked in. I felt the fear coming in and I was trying to fight it. And I'll be honest, I don't think it would have mattered if I was on acid or not. I think I would have felt pretty freaked out. But so, I have had panic attacks in the past. I'm sure a lot of us have. The thing is, like, a panic attack when you're not on drugs is different to one when you are, because when you're not, you can rationalize a lot of things. Like, I'm just feeling this way because I'm tired and this, that, and the other. But when you're on drugs, you're like, bad things happen to people on drugs. Maybe I really am dying. But I really felt like the tunnel was closing in on me, and I just started to feel that adrenaline go in my chest and my heart start to beat fast, and I started to tremble, and I just thought, holy fuck, man, like I want to get out of here. I just wanted to be anywhere else in the world. But there was like 100 people in front of me and there was all these people behind me. And at this point I was like half a mile at least down the tunnel. So it was still a fucking long way to get back. And I didn't really know what to do, but like I knew that I had to like not lose it, because if you go into a full on panic attack when you're on fucking hallucinogens in a fucking tunnel 300 feet away from North Korea, it's not a good situation to be in. And I figured, like, like if I can't just lose it here, there's too much at stake, like there's nothing to gain. So there was a young woman in front of me, and she was on my tour bus. I hadn't spoken to her at all, but I just decided to reach out, and I lightly tapped her, and she turned around, and she was French, and I was like, excusez-moi, and I'm fighting off the urge to fucking hyperventilate and die whilst trying to remember kind of schoolboy French. And she's like, oui, and I'm like, je suis désolé, I'm sorry, and I'm trying to remember, I'm like, pouvez-vous aider-moi? That means, can you help me? But I'm like, maybe it doesn't, maybe it means something completely different. But I figured that it was way too hard to try and translate into French, that I was tripping off my fucking nut. So I just went for the French that I could remember, and I went, Je n'aime pas le tunnel. I don't like the tunnel. And je n'aime pas le tunnel. Ce n'est bien pas. It's not good, the tunnel. And she was like about 18 years old. She was like, who the fuck is this weird guy, you know? But she looked at me with these big brown eyes, and it was probably the situation magnified it. But she sort of had this angelic sort of appearance to me at that point. And she looked me in the face and she said, you must be strong. You know, you must be strong. You must keep going. And that wasn't her accent at all. But anyway, sort of in that moment, just having a human connection and looking in her face, and I was like, she's right. You know, I must be strong. And I must keep going, because all the alternatives were pretty bad. And it wasn't going to help me at all. And I suppose I could have bailed and I could have left, but I just summoned all the mental strength that fucking almost 20 years on the British comedy circuit taught me. I pictured all the times that I've kept soldiering on when I've been booed by 50 Glaswegian women throwing shit at me. And I got control of the fear, basically, and I just, one step at a time, I just kept my eye on her, and we kept walking through the tunnel. There's people filing the other way. I think I said I said, how far is it, you know, because this fucking thing seemed to go on forever. And eventually we got to the end of the tunnel, and there's just like this big metal sheet with like a slit through it, like, and then you put your face up against it. It was like looking through a letterbox. And you put your face through it, and then on the other side there was like a gap in the tunnel, and then the other side there's like 2 North Korean soldiers, man, just standing there. That must be I don't know how badly you have to fuck up in North Korea to get that gig. Oh, have I been going on forever? Sorry, guys.
Oh, sorry. How long is your video, bro?
Man, I'm not good at this story. So you should have flashed me.
I haven't determined how that's done on the Zoom world, but no, man, it's a great story.
Sorry, guys. I realized, holy fuck, I've been gone for like 20 minutes. This should have been half the.
No. You know, you got the base work for your solo Zoom show already in place. No, it's a good story. No, excellent story, man. Excellent story. How long is the video?
I'm so used to just doing 20-minute stand-up sets, but that was just like a 20 minutes rambling story with no. Anyway, I put together a 2-minute video just to give you some idea what that was like. It was a weird situation.
Can we play some of it?
That, so much of that was in my mind that it's kind of hard to convey really the way that I felt. But that's probably, anyway, my advice is that you know, a tunnel built for the purposes of attacking other humans isn't a great vibrational energy for anyone seeking a psychedelic experience. And I did it so that you don't have to, so you're welcome. Thanks for having me. You might as well play the video, I guess.
They look so happy, man. Look at them sing. Having a great time. What's everyone talking about? They're having a great time over there in North Korea. Having the time of their lives.
That audio out of whack, is it?
It's a little low.
Holy fuck. Is it possibility I can
The world wants to utilize themselves. UT is a place like there's time and past. On June 25th, 1906, the DOT is a West life, where wild animals live in harmony.
Holy fuck, man. That was my most fucking craziest intense experience, man. I don't think I would have got in that frame of mind if I'd known that we were going to be in like a 2-kilometre long tiny little tunnel with like hundreds of other people. I've never been so happy to see this fucking daylight in my life. I thought I was going to freak out there. Thank God it was a little French chick who stuck with me. I tell you what, man, if I can get through that. get through fucking anything. That was a long fucking 20 minutes there.
Let's hear it. Let's hear it for Ro Campbell, everyone. Here
Tell us your tale. Come on up and tell us your tale.
And now, let's hear it for Ro. Come on, give it up for Ro, everyone. He got up early. He's in Brisbane, Australia. We don't get to do shows with our friends from around the world very often. So we are down to our final tailor of the evening. Please give this man some warm tail love for the one, the only, Harmon Leon.
Tell us your tale. Come on up and tell us your tale.
All right, thank you very much. So in the real world, when we're allowed to go outside, I'm a journalist and I infiltrate various subcultures and fanatics and extremists. And I just like to tell you a little story to bring you back once again to the real world, everyone, here tonight. So, I'm standing inside a large auditorium in Cincinnati that's packed with hundreds and hundreds of awkward teenagers. And if everything goes as planned, not a single soul here in attendance tonight will end up having sex before marriage. Out comes Spence. Spence is cool. I can tell Spence is cool because he wears a backwards baseball cap and utilizes street talk. Yo, this ring is a very visual reminder of your commitment. I want you guys to keep it on and not take it off. You understand? And with that, Spence directs everyone's attention to the large multimedia screen directly behind him. Yo, what you see here is a vow, a pledge, a verbal confirmation to keep your virginity intact for... Now, I'm going to start us off, and then I want you guys to join in. In unison, Spence and the awkward teens chant in unison, "In signing this covenant before God, I agree to wear a silver ring as a sign of my commitment to abstain from sexual behavior that's inconsistent with biblical standards. On my wedding night, I will present my silver ring to my spouse as a faithful commitment to the marriage covenant." At the conclusion of the pledge, Spence, like the cool guy he is, screams, "Everyone clap your hands, make some noise, heaven's freaking out." The auditorium now roars with the thunderous applause of hundreds and hundreds of virgins. Yes, I've infiltrated the world of the silver ring thing. The Circus Soleil of Christian teen abstinence programs. Their mission is to convince kids to abstain from all sex before marriage or face the simple consequence of eternal damnation and fiery, painful hell. And how does the silver ring thing convince kids not to have sex before marriage? By putting on a 2-hour high-energy stage show that incorporates music, comedy, and skits, all done concert style, so the teens can relate. In the end, not only will these kids vow to keep their virginity intact for Jesus, but they'll also get a free glow stick. It's a virginity pledge. A virginity pledge. We vow to abstain from sex before marriage. A virginity pledge. A virginity pledge. Even heavy petting sinful, we disparage. Yes, holy fuckballs, ding-a-ling. Let's join the silver ring thing. Now, before the event, I'm standing in the parking lot of Cincinnati Christian University in line for Silver Ring Thing's One Night Stand Tour. I'm here for the parent session, I say to a smiley youth leader who directs me to a creepy pre-event designed to educate parents on how they can keep their child's virginity intact. The creepy pre-event is already creepy and in progress. I pray for my daughter's virginity every single day. I hear the grown man on the microphone telling a room full of concerned parents, adding, "How cool is that?" Cool, creepy, probably the better word. I mean, do these adult parents actually think their human child will go without having sex by wearing one of these cheap, tacky rings? Maybe they have it confused for, get ready to laugh, a magical silver cock ring. Insert laughter here. What part about wait until marriage don't these kids understand? I say to a mom sitting next to me as I hear the grown man outline the underlying manifesto behind the silver ring thing, which includes looking at the Bible as a medical journal, check. Refusing to have all sex education taught in schools because you wouldn't say to your kid, put on a seatbelt, then tell them, no, why don't you go drunk driving? Check. And, of course, pointing out the people behind all this sinful behavior in America. Why, of course, the gays. Now, before heading over to the main event, things are wrapped up with imagine your child leaving the house to go on a date, and you know they have a ring on their finger that you value, that you cherish. Otherwise, how are they going to navigate the next 5, 10, 15 years of sexual pressure? Concludes the grown man who prays for his daughter's virginity every single day about this magical Jesus chastity belt of parental control. Now back at the Silver Ring Thing, Yo Talkin' Spence is on stage, backed by pumping beats and glow sticks, as he delivers some no sex before marriage hip-hop poetry. To me, there is no premarital loving. I'm gonna stay pure to the day I'm a husband. Word. Boom. Spence drops the mic. But that was just mere fun and games. What follows is some serious scared straight abstinent shit with the underlying message. If any of you hump before marriage, this is what's gonna happen to you. Out comes Mackenzie. Mackenzie wears a t-shirt that says, "Don't be like Jesus and get nailed." My name is Mackenzie, and this is my story. And at the end of the night, I want you to decide what you want your story to be, says Mackenzie. Now, in brief summary, Mackenzie's story involves having premarital sex, which results in her becoming a homeless alcoholic. I found myself lying face down on the bathroom floor of a Chick-fil-A located in the ghetto, holding a stolen pregnancy test and praying to the Lord that it would be negative, while my boyfriend, who was also the town drug dealer, was off behind my back sleeping with all my friends. Spoiler alert, Mackenzie came to a Silver Ring Thing show and became born again virgin style. Though she doesn't scientifically explain how that works exactly. And further, there's nothing that you haven't done that prevents you from starting over again tonight. What will be your story? Thank you. Yo Talkin' Spence comes back out on stage. And Glengarry Glen Ross business turned Spence is the closer, who puts on the hard virginity sell with some more no sex before marriage hip-hop poetry, except this time with a homophobic Mike Pence twist. The pledge about to take tonight, the rest of the world, it don't understand. Sex, it's God's wedding gift, strictly for a woman and a man, word. And with that, the silver ring thing pledge begins. When finished, Spence screams, "Let's do something crazy!" Everyone gathers together for a big virginity group photo as the silver ring thing line spills far, far out into the foyer. And virginity ain't cheap. These tacky cheap rings go for $60 a pop, almost making tonight's event seem like a gross infomercial. But it will help parents in their quest for control through shame and guilt and fear and misinformation. And for those kids who end up breaking tonight's pledge, the silver ring thing will help them fulfill their future life of drug addiction and strip club work when they fail to live up to tonight's unrealistic expectations. So, what did you guys think? Are you glad you came? I hear a suburban mom say afterwards to a group of gawky teenagers trying to look optimistic about their sexless future, who weakly mumble in unison, "Yes!" So, do you guys want to get together this week and talk about what we learned? Says the mom, adding, "I'll make brownies!" The end. Thank you. Thank you very much. Here it
Come on up and tell us your tale.
Right, thank you very much, Taylors. Thank you. Isn't it weird when we all live in these apartment buildings and we find ourselves screaming bits of our stories to civilians that just live in the above you and below you, kind of wondering because you're quarantined what the fuck is going on with him. Who lives upstairs? Are you, Ro?
My niece is upstairs being homeschooled while I'm screaming about acid in Korea.
Anyways, first of all, I just want to say this has been probably one of our best tale shows in the live stream sphere. And before we say goodnight to everyone, as a tale tradition, we always close with a song. So let's once again welcome back Caitlin Cook, everyone, to bring us on home.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. This has been really fun. And this is a kind of a weird way to end. This is a song about battling depression. Listen up, cuz here's a story about a little guy that lives in a blue world. All day and all night and everything he sees is just blue, like him, inside and outside. Blue his house with a blue little window and a blue Corvette. And everything is but for him and himself, and everybody around. He ain't got nobody to listen to listen. I'm blue, da-ba-dee-da-ba-dee, da-ba-dee-da-ba-dee, da-ba-dee-da-ba-dee. That was a song by two Frenchmen that didn't speak any English. Their names were Eiffel 65. My name is Caitlin Cook. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, let's hear it for Caitlin, everyone. Caitlin. And let's hear it for everyone on the Tail. Can we take a little group photo here? Let's hear it for everyone on the Tail Show. This is one of my favorite Tail shows. Once again, let's hear it for Caitlin, everyone. Let's hear it for Angel, everyone. Let's hear it for Calvin, everyone. Let's hear it for John Bennett. Let him hear it all the way in Adelaide, Australia. Let's hear it for our friend Ro Campbell. He's in Brisbane. I am Harmon Leon. Oh, and John wanted me to plug, to check out more of him. Be sure to check out his Facebook page, John Bennett Comedian. Does anyone have anything else they want to plug? Any plugs, shows you guys want to plug before we take off?
Show tomorrow. For Story Collider, it's their 10th anniversary. It's stories about science.
All right, nice. Anyone else? Any other plugs before we take off here tonight? And again, Tail is every other week. Next week, we have 2 shows we're putting on next week. Next Thursday night is my show Jokey Okie, stand-up comedy karaoke and a 3-round game show. Whoa. So that's next Thursday. And next Saturday, oh my God, people, we're bringing back The Muff. It's a parody show of The Moth. So that's big crowd pleaser, but it'll be our first time doing it as a live stream. Both these shows you can find on twitch.tv/comedyhistory101. And anyways, guys, anything else? Any other takeaways before we...
I've got a quick thing I might as well plug, Harmon.
Sure, absolutely, bud.
I made this little website just for a bit of fun. It's called www.lockdowncomedy.com, and it's just all like links to lockdown produced YouTube stuff from all around the world. So there's loads of stuff there from Africa, Caribbean, Middle East, as well as there's Asia everywhere. So check that out if you want. And if anyone wants to submit anything, just send me a link and I'll put it on there.
All right. Anyways, everyone, thank you so much, and hopefully we will see you in the real world soon. Here's our theme song to play us out.